Hi, lovely to have you here. Welcome to the Electro Revolution channel. My name is Michael and I'm a car and tech enthusiast. In this episode, we're going to go through the second part of the BYD Atto 2 review. Essentially, if you haven't seen the first part, I do invite you to go watch episode 1 because this is a continuation of that episode. In this episode, we'll be asking the first question, is it the right size? And then we'll be looking at its storage space, its boot space, and things like that. We'll then be looking at the interior of the vehicle and the sizing of that and reviewing the pricing again based on these new things we've learned about the vehicle. And of course, we'll be stepping into the interior, which is the exciting part, and reviewing the interior. So I really hope you enjoyed this episode. Is it the right size? Well, let's look into what makes the Atto 2's sizing such a big deal. Starting with its dimensions. In China, where it's known as the BYD Yuan Up, the Atto 2 measures 4,310mm long, 1,830mm wide, and 1,675mm tall. And that makes it a sleek, compact SUV, 145mm shorter than its biggest sibling, the Atto 3, but still perfectly sized for urban adventures or weekend road trips. Why does size matter in this regard? Well, the Atto 2, it does strike a sweet spot here. Small enough to zip through our city streets, especially some of the narrower ones, and it allows parking with ease. Yet, it's roomy enough to feel like a proper SUV. It's larger than a light SUV, but not quite as big as Australia's mid-size favourites, giving you just the right vibe. So, what that means is it's larger than the light SUVs such as the Mazda CX-3 and the Nissan Qashqai and the electric Jeep Avenger, but it's not as big as Australia's most popular SUVs like the mid-sized Toyota RAV4 and the Mazda CX-5. Now, to step inside the vehicle, I think personally this is where it does have one up on some of the other competitors. It does have a nice interior. The cabin, it's seriously spacious. Now, the reviews I've seen on this particular vehicle from overseas, even for gentlemen that are 6 foot tall and up, it's got some serious space and some serious legroom, especially in the back. So, thanks to its smart upright seating design, you do get heaps of foot, knee and headroom in both the front and the rear. And that's whether you're driving solo or packing in the family into the vehicle, which a lot of people will do because it's a shared vehicle likely for the family. And everyone's got room to stretch out and get comfy within the vehicle. Let's now look at its storage. Now, unfortunately, this is a big one for me. You won't actually find a frunk in the front of the vehicle. Now, this is actually a big one because a lot of people I know do like a frunk in the front of the vehicle, and being an electric vehicle, it is kind of expected these days for most EVs to have a frunk, although not all of them, especially the smaller ones in size, will have. However, with considering that it doesn't have a frunk, it does actually have a trunk that makes up for it. It's quite large at 400 litres with the seats up. And that's of course for the people that go shopping with this sort of stuff. It's perfect for groceries. The people that do sports, it has enough space for sports gear. Or if you're going away on a short weekend break, it does have enough luggage for those short weekend breaks. And now folding down the rear seats, we do get 1,370 litres of space. And that's really plenty of space when you're looking at maybe a spontaneous IKEA run that you want to buy some furniture, stick it in the back there, maybe go to the beach, have a surfboard, maybe some boogie boards in there, or go to the park, maybe be able to fit not a large bike, but maybe a small bike into the boot of the vehicle. So it does have practicality in that respect. Now again, looking at a price for a vehicle like this, with this much space in terms of the boot and with the back seats folded down, it is quite compelling when you're likely going to hit a target range of mid $30,000 to $40,000. So I'm talking there about $35,000. Of course, The official pricing hasn't been released. It's likely going to be that as a good guess, possibly before on-road costs, but again, it's very likely to be under the Atto 3. So when you get that type of space, it does make it actually a compelling vehicle to consider buying. So what do you think of this interior? Is it big enough for you, or would you require actually more space? And also with the frunk, I know that is a decision maker for a lot of people, whether an EV has a frunk or not. But remember, especially from the ones coming from an ICE vehicle, it won't make too much difference if this is going to be their first EV purchase. But for those, of course, that expect that and want it, yeah, that'll be really a decision point. But nevertheless, leave a comment below. Let's now take a look at its interior and of course start with the basics. The Atto 2 comes in two forms, the Essential and the Premium trims. Now in Essential, that gets a 10.1 inch rotating infotainment screen, which we're quite accustomed to with BYD vehicles. I know both of the ones I have that rotating screen. While the Premium, that steps it up a notch by having a minor larger screen at 12.8 inches. And of course, that includes a 360-degree surround camera for easier parking. Now, both BYDs have the D-Link 100 system. That's super intuitive and it gives quick access to the tiles on screen. It has a bottom toolbar for climate control and seats and a split screen mode to juggle different apps like the nav and music at the same time on the same screen. Now, what we know about this vehicle and the whole setup on the console is it's button minimal. And what that means is, like if you look at the older models of the BYDs and the versions of the OTA updates that they provided with those, there's buttons everywhere on the screen. Now, the newer versions and some of the later models have this new version as an OTA update. The older models will be upgraded to this, but this particular model has essentially a button-free console. So essentially you get the whole screen as one big picture. You can't put too many icons on there, they lock you out of that, but it does have a bottom menu that you can select all your applications from. Now, one of the great features that you do get with BYDs, and that's usually on every single BYD, is the Android Auto and the Apple CarPlay. Now, some cars don't actually have this, so for BYD to consistently offer Android Auto and Apple CarPlay in your EV vehicle, I think it's a fantastic feature. It also has intelligent voice control. What that essentially means is you talk to the car and it talks back, and usually 99% of the time it does understand what you say. It also gives you over-the-air updates. Now, that's the OTA updates. I have spoken about those things. I've even gone through OTA updates in the Atto and the BYD Seal that I own. If you haven't watched those videos, I'll put them up onto the screen now. You can take a look at the process and how BYD perform it. And just below the big screen, what we do have are the handy toggles, the different drive modes, the parking, the demister, the volume, and even a power off button for the particular screen. So what about the interior vibe? Well, I think it's uplifting and well built, and I've seen reviews that others have said the same thing in overseas models. It's decked out in a two-tone black and white cream scheme with soft touch materials on the upper surfaces. Now, that's important because mostly when we're in vehicles, we do look at the upper surfaces, but unfortunately it does get the firmer surfaces and maybe some firmer plastics down the bottom. And that's typical, I guess, of these budget related cars. Now, I know in this part, some people wonder why, but I think it's a great thing. It gets a massive panoramic roof. And what these things essentially do is they flood the cabin with light. It gives you also an electric sun blind. Of course, you need that in the Aussie sun, and that keeps the Aussie heat waves at bay when you're in the particular vehicle. Now, the standard goodies also include flush door handles, 17-inch alloy wheels, and again, with these types of alloy wheels, they do give you further distance. If they went for the larger wheels, yes, you would get shorter distances. It gives you the synthetic leather trim, a wireless 50-watt charger, and a USB-A and C ports in the front and rear of the vehicle. Now it does give you, of course, the standard BYD steering wheel with buttons. That's common, so I won't go through that. But behind that, you do have an adjustable steering wheel for the reach and rake. You've also got 8.8-inch info display, and that's the instrument display behind the steering wheel. And that also gives you a handy heads-up display. Not the biggest, but a solid perk at this price. Its audio is quite straightforward. 6 speakers on Essential and 8 on the Premium. And of course, that's got adjustable settings, but no audiophile thrills. And check this, a crystal look gear selector. That's interesting, that one. And a rotary drive mode dial for that modern EV feel. Now the seats can be a highlight for some. Now it does have artificial leather all around, but it does have also front heating, likely on both of the trims, but possibly on the driver's side only. We'll only know when it actually is released in Australia. The driver's seat is 6-way adjustable and it's got a good height range, so tall folks, they can sit low if they need to. Passengers get 4-way tweaks in the seating. Now from what I've read and the reviewers I've seen, they are comfy with a stylish one-piece design and decent side support. Plus, the rear space feels abundant thanks to the upright positioning of the seats. So overall, the Atto 2's cabin does punch above its weight. It's got responsive tech, thoughtful storage solutions, and a bright, airy atmosphere that makes daily drives really enjoyable. So what stands out most for you in the interior of the vehicle? Is it the rotating screen? Is that something you care about? Or is it the panoramic roof? Is that something you care about? Let us know in the comments. It would be interesting to know. So that was the end of episode 2. Now the question we asked in this episode was, is it the right size? Now of course you can get vehicles that are bigger, you can get vehicles that are smaller. As I said in the episode, I think this hits a sweet spot. So we also took a look at the interior. We stepped inside it, we looked at the space within the interior, of course virtually, because we don't have a real car we can look at right at this stage. And we looked at the vibe of the vehicle, storage space, boot space, and how it looks, how it's been designed, exterior and all that sort of stuff. So I really hope you enjoyed this episode. There is more coming, so I hope to see you there. If you did enjoy this episode, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, share this content with someone who'd be interested, or just leave a comment. It really all helps. Until the next episode, I hope to see you there. Bye for now.